Brian Sen wrote a book called The Most Dangerous Cinema, where he outlines and chronicles the history of movies that tell the story of man hunting man for sport, which is based on the Richard Connell story of the same name. We're currently in the wilds of the exploitation corner of my movie collection, staking out the houseplants to see if any of them have stink bug eggs in them. It's a process, a seemingly never-ending conflict. And I'm joined by my misguided and most likely not even real friend, Hanky. How you feeling, dude?
I hate being like this. I'm a disaster.
Yeah, you seem a little tense.
Oh, no, I'm not tense. No, not at all. Well, I did pass out today and got hit in the head by a baseball and brushed my teeth with shampoo. And then butchered Rimsky-Korsakov in front of 1,500 people and my clothes fell apart. But no, I'm not tense. No.
I just figured, you're rich and famous. You know lots of rich and famous people. I don't know if you want to talk about it. You don't have to name any names, but you know some people that hunted people, right? You've been on a few island hunting trips.
Yeah, there was some pretty rough stuff, but I came out of it okay.
I know you didn't do the killings or anything, but you knew about them, right?
I knew it. Well, I didn't know it, but I knew it.
Yeah. How long do you think you went on these island vacations?
On and off, but since then, about 8 years.
Years? That's unbelievable.
Well, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, 8 years isn't that long ago, really. You can tell me if it was Oprah, DiCaprio. Jerry Seinfeld would totally hunt a human being.
That's the reason that you're here.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of freaking me out that these people live above the law, It's disturbing. Like, does Seinfeld have a trophy room? What's the deal with our civilization? If a tiger kills to survive, we call it savage. But a man kills a tiger for fun. That's civilized? Pretty bad deal for the tiger.
I think you should have a drink, and I'm sure you'll feel a lot better.
Yeah, never mind the drink. If you're not going to cough up the names, then just sit there and let me get through this. Theoretically, I have an audience.
Fine.
Fine. In this video, we will be looking at the 60s and mostly 70s adaptations, which are all understandably niched into exploitation cinema. This means small budgets and pronounced misogyny, with exploitation of labor in the production and of women on screen. I'm not pearl clutching, I love exploitation film, but it's just a heads up to anybody who might have wanted one. You don't have to watch part 1 before you watch this video if you're already familiar with the Most Dangerous Game story, but if you want to watch part 1 as well, I think that makes sense. It gives an outline of the key highlights of the plot with examples. In each of these videos, I'm also adding quick bonus sections based on movie subgenres adjacent to the Most Dangerous Game. Last time we briefly looked at the various TV shows that use the story in their episodes, and in this video our illustrious author has a section on what he calls almost dangerous games, which are defined as films in which hunting humans for sport remains merely a minor subplot, where that motivation isn't the most significant element of the plot, and anytime a movie doesn't quite fit but gets close. So look for that near the end of this video. Alright? Let's do this.
I'm really sorry you can't come this year, Virginia.
So am I. Can't fight Max. I'll just have to have nervous breakdowns with better timing.
Well, listen to him this time. And stop feeling sorry for yourself.
As if you couldn't make a movie about humans hunting humans for sport any sleazier, along comes Confessions of a Psychocat in 1968. With each movie, we've moved further and further away from the source material, this one even more so. Disjointed, it takes place in a crowded city rather than our isolated island, where 3 murderers are hunted by our first female huntress, Lady Zaroff. This is a lowbrow, trendy roughie utilizing the basic plot. A roughie is what came after the nudie cutie of the late 50s and early 60s. Things got more sensationalized and exploitative and edgy.
Well, come on, relax. This isn't a funeral.
Half of it takes place in swinger parties with topless ladies. It's an interesting transmutation of the original story into a contemporary setting and giving a feel for that time, but it's not necessarily a great adaptation of the work, but that's kind of what this chapter is all about.
Why don't you take off your shirt?
I just don't feel like it.
In The Suckers from 1972, a rich, eccentric hunter hires a group of models and a photographer for a photo shoot, except of course the shooting will actually be done by the guns, because guns shoot bullets.
Come now, I'll say it for you. Ladies, gentlemen, you are here today because you are the hunt. We're the hunt.
This incarnation is a straight-up softcore exploitation flick from the 70s, and as such, the structure is really built around the idea that every 10 minutes or so, there will be an extended nude scene or rape scene. So it's got 3 or 4 softcore scenes, about 5 minutes each, which breaks up an already short film. Despite this, we get many cribbed moments or lines of dialogue from the Most Dangerous Game.
The natural instinct. What is woman? Even such a woman as this, until the blood is quickened by the kill.
But why us?
Because rape and slaughter go hand in hand when one is hunting human beings.
One passion builds upon another. Kill, then love.
Are you sick bastard?
One night as I lay in my tent with this head of mine, a terrible thought crept like a snake into my brain. Hunting was beginning to bore me.
Is that such a terrible thought, Count?
It is, my dear lady, when hunting has been the whip for all other passions. When I lost my love of hunting, I lost my love of life.
You know, I've tracked down and hunted just about every living species of mammal there is on Earth today. And in my years of doing so, I've discovered one horrible fact. There's no more joy in hunting and killing ordinary game. But, being that hunting is a way of life to me, it's made my existence meaningless. Now, if I could hunt a creature as inherently clever and resourceful as I...
What I needed was not a new weapon, but a new animal.
A new animal?
Exactly so.
You found one?
You know, I've
Yes.
tracked down and hunted just about every living species
Here
of
on my
mammal there is on Earth
island,
today.
I
And in my
hunt
years of
the
doing
most
so, I've discovered
dangerous
one
game.
horrible fact.
And as you can see, the entire print is washed out and thin. So is the production. Half the movie action is just people running up and down this one same stretch of a path. While they're all running around, the movie employs the Jason Voorhees school of stalking, where the victims run in terror and the killer walks slowly but always seems to catch up somehow. This is yet another example of slasher tropes being workshopped in the Most Dangerous Game movie.
Why do anything when you have so much fun watching?
Well, in this case, actually, watching is doing something. That's the whole channel. The Suckers is sleazy, it's grimy, maybe one of the filthiest versions of the Most Dangerous Game. It wouldn't be my first choice. Or my second. Or my third.
Shut up, you miserable pig!
Next, we have The Woman Hunt in 1973. This is Filipino exploitation with Eddie Romero and John Ashley. Romero is the king of Filipino exploitation, and he brings along with him guys like Sid Haig.
Well, ladies, I'm purely pleasure.
Haig might be known to more modern audiences as Captain Spaulding in Rob Zombie's movies, but his character's douchebag roots can be traced back to his many 70s women in cages type films. It's not too hard to see.
Lady has got a mouth. Will you just keep that oiled up for me, sweetheart?
Listen, Pinocchio, if I ever use it, it'll be to bite your nose off.
My nose ain't the thing that grows.
The big bird cage, the big dollhouse, Black Mama, White Mama, and of course the woman hunt is exactly that, a woman in cages movie using the Most Dangerous Game as the basic plot idea, literally in cages. If you want to know more about Romero and his contemporaries in Filipino exploitation movies, then you might search out this documentary, Machete Maidens Unleashed. This is a double pack. This is Electric Boogaloo, and Machete Maidens is down there. Very cool movie.
Might surprise you to find out that I know exactly what I'm doing.
And this brings us to open season in 1974. Great cast with Peter Fonda and Richard Lynch, William Holden, and unlike our previous movies in this chapter, this one brings some real star power. It was pretty good. It's more in the vein of Deer Hunter from 1978, or Straw Dogs from 1971, or Deliverance in 1972, complete with river rafting trip and banjo music. While it does get into some grotesque human hunting by the last half hour, and there is a unique twist by the end that I'm not going to ruin here, Open Season is not at all an adaptation of The Most Dangerous Game. It's actually adapting the novel The All-Americans by David Osborne, who was also one of 2 screenwriter credits for the movie. Easily one of the creepiest in this series, in my opinion, and I don't know that I would have included it as one of the main entries in this book. If I were to guess, it would be because it still holds true to the idea of people hunting other people, not for revenge, but the simple, sick sport of
You're
it.
going to hunt us, aren't you? Like animals.
Oh, now come on.
Okay, for our bonus section in this video, let's discuss the Almost Dangerous games as described in the book. The movies that stray from the formula, I can understand, but it seems odd to exclude international films from being considered a real adaptation. The book lists 25 examples in this chapter. I will just briefly highlight some of the more interesting ones, or the ones that I was able to track down. Remember, these don't quite meet all the criteria for the Most Dangerous Game plot. 1949, we get Johnny Allegro. This is a vehicle for George Raft that starts off like a B-movie noir caper, but then morphs into a cross between the Most Dangerous Game and Enter the Dragon. See, Raft ends up on an island, hunted by his host, but also he's working for the feds trying to bring down the Kingpin. Raft plays the entire thing laid back like a stale and uninterested 2-bit Bogart. The whole movie, though, is probably more fun than it deserves, from the eccentric antagonist and his inconvenient bow and arrow to the amount of action and how quickly it moves. The only problem is that Allegro is being hunted only near the very end of the movie and not truly for sport. But this movie's a decent romp. Included in most lists of most dangerous adaptations, Run for the Sun from 1956 is still only an almost dangerous game according to Mr. Sen. The book points out that our hunters are doing so not for sport, but to cover their tracks, so there are no witnesses to their existence. Also, that the romance between Richard Widmark and leading lady Jane Greer eats up too much screen time. I kind of see it more as The African Queen or 6 Days, 7 Nights meets The Most Dangerous Game. It's got that roughneck, salt-of-the-earth alcoholic guy matched up with a more uptight, proper lady. I think the classic 1950s look and production, the island location, how the mystery and the reveal of the predicament unfolds very much evokes that same feel. Plus, the credits also cite direct inspiration to Richard Connell's story. There's actually a lot more built into the relationship of our 2 leads than in the original 1932 story, but that could be seen as a credit or a clunky burden. I like this one a lot. Now, 1974, Man with the Golden Gun. This is arguably the best Roger Moore Bond movie, hands down. And as often is the case, the Bond movie stature is reflected in how great the villain is. And in The Man with the Golden Gun, Christopher Lee plays Scaramanga, a deadly assassin equal to James Bond in every measure. Scaramanga wants nothing more than to test himself against Bond. He lures him to his island lair, which is all set up to disorient his victims, and provide a sort of arena for their inevitable showdown, clearly carrying shades of the Connell story in the spirit of this villain. Absolute classic. In 1986, we got Blood Hunt. Now, I read a few reviews of this movie before I got to see the Severin Blu-ray release, and I think it was undersold. This is a really cool, stylish 80s Euro thriller. Yes, humans hunt humans in this movie, but other than that, drawing parallels between it and The Most Dangerous Game gets a little anemic. And there is another movie I think it's similar to, a more recent movie, but let me give you the plot and see if you can guess it. It's about a doctor who comes to a small town and finds all the people act strangely. There's some kind of hierarchy in the town's social structure, and some hint of darkness that he can't quite put his finger on. And then it turns out that the town has been collectively hunting and killing the undesirables that come into their town, and uncovering their evil deeds, he becomes their next victim. Or will he end this madness? Any guesses?
I didn't know that.
I kept on thinking about Hot Fuzz. I always wondered which movies influenced that aspect of Hot Fuzz. The Bad Boys and John Woo action homage is very clearly laid out in the dialogue in the movie, but this almost folklorish, Wicker Man-esque fish-out-of-water story with a sinister townspeople angle is great. I can't say this influenced Edgar Wright, but I could see it. The film looks great. The music has that 80s synth drum vibe, the action explodes when it needs to, the setting in this village is unique, and it's shot in interesting ways. Then that's the list. So, you're really not going to tell me?
I don't think so. No, thank you very much. No.
Okay, like, what if I just guess out loud, and then you signal to me non-verbally?
Are you crazy?
Well, this way, technically, you haven't said anything at all.
That is so wise, yes.
Right? Okay. Oprah. Tim Allen. Oh, dude, George Clooney, obviously, right? Wow, did you never say anything?
No, I never do.
But they're all your friends. Dude, I think that's really sick.
No, you don't.
Dude, stop it. Yes, okay, that's really creeping me out, and I'm cutting it here, okay? I've delved too far into matters I should not have. Okay, next chapter we move into the 80s with more exploitation, but also we start seeing the shift into action movies that dominate the 90s. Hit the like button and the follow so Hanky and I don't have to hunt you down.